I'm going to a bay on the Faroe Islands to a pilot whale hunt. Lots of people have tried to film a pilot whale hunt on the Faroe Islands, but they're often chased away. We know about drones that have been shot out of the air, that tyres have been removed from people's cars. I don't really know how they'll react to us. A quick warning, some people may find some of this footage hard to watch. This documentary tells the story of how I got here and why this bloody tradition still exists. My name is Christian, and sitting next to me is Andreas, who does the editing. We made a film in September 2021 about a dolphin hunt on the Faroe Islands for a German news channel. More than 1,400 dolphins were killed here, and in just a single day. These images went around the world in 2021 because no one had ever documented the slaughter of such a large number of dolphins before. And to be honest, those were images I was then unable to forget. People around the world have protested this kind of hunting. The images upset me, and I wanted to know more. We got a camera team and flew north. The Faroe Islands are in the North Atlantic between Scotland, Norway and Iceland. Just over 50,000 people live here. Everyone knows everyone. It was important to me to keep an open mind on this trip. I wanted to understand, not to judge. Why are people still killing pilot whales and other dolphins here? I travel a lot, but it looks different here. Wild and rough. We're headed to the capital, Tórshavn, where most of the Faroese live. The perfect place to meet people who can introduce us to the world of whale hunters. I'm waiting for Petur, a young man who lives here on the Faroe Islands. He's also a filmmaker. He shot that footage back in 2021. I want him to take me to the place where it all happened.
Hey, you must be Petur.
Yeah.
Hey, good to meet you. Is it possible that you bring me to the place where the Grindadráp was last time?
Yeah, it takes 15 minutes, so it's not far away.
Okay, perfect. Let's try it.
Petur Sigurd de Kroki told me he was born on the Faroe Islands and grew up in a small village. In 2021, he realized that something special was happening. He showed me the place where the animals were slaughtered.
This is the beach.
Where it all happened?
Yes. It's very silent before, but you can feel that the atmosphere is like, okay, everyone's getting ready. Everyone that's participating is getting ready to see where exactly they are going to come in. Like, as soon as a whale is close enough to be killed, someone's got to be ready there. And then you start killing, and you slaughter, and you do it as fast as possible.
Petur said he didn't take part in the hunt back then. Instead, he filmed this footage. It's gone around the world. If you don't like the sight of blood, please look away for a moment. An agonizingly long time was needed for the few overwhelmed hunters to kill the more than 1,400 white-sided dolphins. Instead of a few minutes, as is usually the case for a hunt, the slaughter took at least half an hour.
But have you ever seen a slaughter like this before?
Not like this one, no.
Yeah. But what is your personal opinion? Do you think this should stop, or is it okay that it continues here on the Faroe Islands?
It's complicated. When I was young, I joined in the Grind and I wanted to be a part of the Grind and support my father in getting food. It was something, it was valuable. But then I went to the other grave where I was against it, more or less.
How could that be a tradition, killing animals that way?
Depends where you're from. Some traditions are more brutal for other cultures. I don't think it's really a tradition, it's been a necessity also, because it's been food in times where you couldn't eat anything. Some people have called it a gift from God.
A gift from God may be understandable when there's nothing to eat, but why still do it today? Petur says his father also hunts whales and dolphins, and we've been invited to come over. The front door is open.
Is it okay if we come in, the whole crew? Yeah.
This man eating muesli is Jens Morten Rasmussen, Petur's father and a whaler. His mother doesn't want to be filmed. Jens, on the other hand, has no problem with it. He's a teacher, and it's obviously not the first time he's explained to a city kid like me why they kill whales here.
We just saw this picture because when you go to Germany, you would never see a painting of killing pigs or cows in your living room. But you have that here. Why is it like that here?
Because we are close to the nature. Have you ever seen a pig been killed? No, probably not. No. Because it's behind closed doors. And here the kindergarten go to the slaughterhouses to see how the sheep were killed. So that's the reason why you don't see anything killed in any German living room. But sorry, they like it killed because they like the meat on the table. So, hypocrites, maybe.
We know that they're intelligent animals as well. Dolphins are very intelligent. So, why do you think it's right to kill these animals anyhow?
Why do you think it's wrong?
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you why you think it's right to kill them.
I'm working with people with extremely low intelligence. If intelligence gives me the right to kill anyone, I'm really wrong. But we're doing it for food. And we eat dolphins. That's why.
Harsh words from a teacher. Jens seems irritated. The whalers know that most non-Faroese don't understand and oppose the whaling. We watch a video by Sea Shepherd, an organisation that has campaigned against the hunt for years. The animal rights activists anger many of the locals.
Yeah, you can see the effects they're doing and the music and everything.
Yeah, but this video is going viral and people are commenting on it and saying the things they're saying it's brutal and so on.
So now I should see it. It's the best commercial Faroese ever has got.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
why do you think that?
They are promoting even the Grindadráp for young Faroese whalers. 2012, when Sea Shepherd announced that they would come to the Faroe Islands, there was a Grinda next to the fjord here in Stremnes. There were so many young people. I said, what shall we do with all of them? We couldn't even teach them, so many there were. And it has been that many ever since. So all what they are doing is the opposite.
The animal rights activists denounce the whaling, but Jens defends it as a necessity. Who's right?
Should we stop just because it's stopped?
We can ask the Sea Shepherd activists themselves. But first, let's recount what we know about dolphins and the hunt for them. The Faroese hunt different types of dolphins, white-sided dolphins, for example. But they're mainly interested in pilot whales, which are also dolphins. They're very social and live in groups known as pods. If they're spotted and the weather is right, the Faroese call for a hunt, like they have for hundreds of years. The hunters then rush out to sea and drive the animals into the fjord with their boats to kill them in the shallows. They always record how many they kill, an average 630 pilot whales per year, and about 265 other dolphins. The Faroese say the animals are not endangered. Hundreds of thousands live in the seas. They don't understand why activists still have a problem with whaling. I'm trying to get in touch with Samuel from Sea Shepherd. The activists usually rent small apartments or houses somewhere. I want to meet them and find out where they are on the island. Maybe they'll get in touch soon. Finding them is not that easy. He just replied, we can meet at 5 p.m. We get the address and head out.
Hey.
Hey, I'm Samuel.
Christian, good day.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. It was not so easy to find the spot because we checked on the map and we drove around, but it was not so easy.
No, but you made it.
Yeah, we made it finally.
Well, welcome.
Can we go in?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
We notice cameras filming the courtyard as we arrive. They were installed after the team suspected their car had been tampered with.
How did it work?
I meet Alexandra Lechvar from Poland.
On the website you can find.
Why did you decide to come to the Faroe Islands and join the group?
I'm a marine biologist, so I started with just studying whales. I'm really interested in them. They're beautiful animals, very fascinating, and we don't really know much about them. They're still a big mystery. And what's happening here is, yeah, just sad, something that I personally think shouldn't be happening anymore.
But do you understand that people say like, Sea Shepherd is not really interested in our tradition, they just take the pictures, put some dramatic music over it and just show the blood in the sea, but they don't explain the tradition. Can you understand that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've been doing it for so many years. It is the tradition for them. That's what they've been doing to survive as well. What the problem in our view is that it's not necessary anymore. There's unnecessary suffering for the animals.
Samuel Rostel and his co-workers try to film every whale hunt with drones. The footage shows the animals don't even have a fighting chance.
Like one of the maybe worst things is the chase before the actual hunt can take hours. And they state themselves that the way they do that chasing is by creating kind of like a sound wall behind them. And this is designed to frighten the animals in a certain direction. Because you can see the way they're swimming now it isn't casual anymore.
No.
At this point they're running away, right? They're in fear. And they're swimming very, very fast, way faster than they would be out on open waters.
No chance to escape for the animals.
No, there's a wall behind them and there's like land on each side, so there's only one way to go.
A path to a lethal dead end.
You often hear the argument, well, we kill because we eat them. Is it always true that they eat the whole animal?
They eat most of it, I would say. You don't know what happens to the meat afterwards. So do they use all of it? They keep it, but at least from what we saw, they did take most of it.
What they do is they basically open the animals and they take the largest pieces of meat off.
Yeah.
They're easily accessible just under the blubber. And many of them leave the rest back.
Can you show me the place where you think they dump the bodies, or where?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
They check the lug nuts on their car before we leave. They're afraid of more sabotage. We drive north to a steep gorge.
This way? Oh wow.
So they will just dump it on the cliffs here. It will slide down into the water and the waves will just distribute, basically. But there's quite a lot of meat left on the bones that could have been used.
The activists took this footage at a different gorge. It's supposedly from 2022 and proves the Faroese don't use all parts of the dead animals. I can't get too upset about it. We do the same with other animals.
if you go to the supermarket, what I do, buy your meat, your chicken, your beef, whatsoever, these are behind walls killings, and we do it publicly. So can you follow this argument a little bit?
They are very correct. They are very, very right. Those animals, they had a good life before that. And a lot of animals that we eat as a society, a lot of people eat, they didn't. They were just raised to be killed. We don't think that what they do is correct either. We think it's very wrong.
So what is the solution, that everybody stops eating meat?
Well, ideally, but it's not really possible, I would say. It's a difficult problem, but ideally you wouldn't have to. That would be the ideal solution.
The activists have been coming here for years and believe attitudes are slowly changing. They claim some Faroese are also against whaling, but that many of them don't dare speak up.
So when people reach out to me and say that they're against the Grind, but they can't speak about it because they will lose either business or they will have a struggle in social situations, then that's also like the side of it where we want to kind of breed that.
I'm surprised by what Samuel says, that perhaps not everyone on the islands supports the pilot whale hunt. But many Faroese don't want to be criticised from outsiders. Why? I find someone who might know.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag, hey Shudo. Good to meet you.
Wie geht's?
Christian, sehr gut. Wie geht es dir?
Sehr gut auch. Ja.
Sehr gut.
This is Shudo Skale. He's considered a colourful character on these remote islands. He was an actor and journalist and is now a politician.
Unbroken chain in other Scandinavian countries and in Germany.
When you describe a typical Faroe man or woman, how would you describe them?
Well, it's a person who likes freedom. When I was a young boy, I was visiting my grandmother in Suðuroy, in the southern island. I remember one morning, I was sitting at the kitchen table, listening to the radio, and she was saying, the world is a bad place. As indicating, as saying between the lines, it's so good we're not part of that world. That we're in the Faroe Islands, we're outside.
The Faroe Islands officially belong to Denmark, but I realised early that for the Faroese, the kingdom is far away. The islands have been largely autonomous since 1948.
Common issues. So Prime Minister's office,
yes.
Minister of Finance, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
The Faroese have faced repeated criticism for hunting pilot whales, including by the EU, which prohibits the hunting of dolphins through various species protection agreements. Just one of the reasons the Faroese decided not to join the EU.
What is your opinion towards the tradition? Are you for or against the Grindadráp?
Yeah, I must see. I'm for because I participate when I can. I've killed several whales myself. They live their free life in the ocean, and then they're driven into shore, and the first thing they meet that is sharp is this lance that kills them in a split of a second, and then they're dead. Of course, there is suffering because they're driven to the shore and they're getting stressed.
Right.
But you have to compare it with how you get the meat otherwise. You have to compare it with pigs that are imprisoned their whole life, that live a life with only one person becoming food for people. When you compare that to killing of pilot whales, the pilot whale killing wins in any comparison, in my opinion. Yeah.
Do you think you can take me to a Grindadráp?
If one was here today, I would gladly do it.
A sarcastic response. He knows perfectly well that it's unlikely there'll be a hunt today. It can take days or weeks before the animals are spotted in the Atlantic. Someone will have to call us when one starts. Witnessing one while here on the islands would be an enormous stroke of luck, and I'd have to know the right people. Young men are apparently particularly keen on hunting. I look for clues and end up in the northeast with a group of young rowers. One will become a key figure. They train with wooden rowing boats and race village against village on open water throughout the summer.
When we do starts, it's like what? 60 strokes per minute. One stroke a second. Yeah.
60 strokes per minute?
Yeah.
I was on the rowing machine in the hotel this morning, but this was coincident, and I saw the display and I had like 20.
Yeah.
They allow me to accompany them anyway. Rowing is too hard to talk. The wooden bench is rock hard. The smell of sweat is everywhere. But it's fun. Fortunately, they don't want to go out to sea with me. One of the rowers is John Roy Herneson. He seems to take rowing very seriously.
So this is what we do 2 hours every day for next 2 months.
The wooden boat is incredibly heavy. We can only get it out of the water if everyone helps. They used to go whaling in similar boats, explains John Roy. He's 18 and grew up in the village of Goethe. He works in a small museum nearby. We arranged to meet.
Hey! Hey! Good to see you again.
You too?
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He shows me the room most popular with tourists, the one with exhibitions about the whaling.
So this is my station when we get bigger groups.
Ah, okay. And what are these? These are for whaling, right?
These are for whaling. These were the old tools, the knife, those spears, and I whaled with...
Wow, it's heavy.
Yeah. Now we use the hook. So they are hooked in the blowhole, and then there's a rope. They get pulled off. And this one is that you use for killing the whale. It is very simple. It's way more humane than the knife.
What makes it more humane?
When you get it in the right spot, this goes in the brain. You can see it goes very deep.
So you seek for quick death?
Yeah, it's about 2 seconds. 1 or 2 seconds. So it's very quick.
And you don't have the license yet, right?
No.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Why that?
Just because. Some people listen to Sea Shepherd or the outside world. And then there's the other half, which is very stubborn. I think I'm a part of that half. I hope the tradition lives on a couple of 100 years.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah.
May I touch it?
Yeah.
We ask John Roy if we can meet his family. His mother doesn't want to be filmed, but his father John and his older sister Laura agree.
Yeah, you can do what I did and what he did, but you can't.
John even cooks for us, whale meat and potatoes.
Everything you do. It looks delicious.
One of our shortest songs. Tack för maten. Amen.
Okay.
I'm touched by their hospitality, but I've also read that the meat is full of toxic substances. I still want to try it to understand why it's so important to them.
It's really like beef.
Yeah.
It's a bit like beef.
Yeah.
Actually. I'm surprised. How often do you eat whale meat?
It's not so.
Not so often now, but before, if we go 10 years back, then we eat it very much, 2 times a week.
But what did change?
I don't know. There's more pizza now.
Okay. And there have been reports that in the whale meat there's some mercury, or you can find mercury. Does it scare you, or do you think about it, or?
I think it's just a pregnant woman who thinks about it.
Do you think about it, Laura?
I'm not pregnant.
Yes.
But people who have turned 110 years old, then I don't see the problem.
If you eat it one time a week, that is not so good for the health. 1 time a month should be no problem.
So how dangerous is whale meat? At least one person on the Faroe Islands says it should have been off the menu for a long time.
Christian, good to meet you.
Paul Vaihe is something of a medical luminary here. He's discovered that whale meat is toxic because it's full of mercury. So much so that he's even detected it in breast milk.
So, what is the difference between a pilot whale meat and a cod meat?
The mercury concentration will be 100 times lower.
100 times?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
The muscles and fat of pilot whales contains lots of mercury and other toxins because the animals are at the top of the food chain, where it accumulates. Paul says eating it is particularly dangerous for pregnant women. They pass the poisons on to their unborn children. Paul and his team have been studying the contamination extensively since the 1980s.
And what could happen with a high exposure of mercury?
We see it only on a statistical level that the highly exposed group are not doing as well in their development as a low exposure. You cannot go out and identify, you are highly exposed because you have green ears or something.
Some researchers suspect eating too much whale meat can trigger Parkinson's disease. I ate whale meat once, Paul very often when he was young. Can you tell the difference? Let's do a test. Elsa Helmsdal has worked with Paul for years. All she needs is a few hairs.
So I assume you stopped eating whale meat?
Yes, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
10 years ago.
I told you, the woman and the Faroe are on my side.
Put it in the bowl.
I'm really curious to see the results of the mercury test. I'm already starting to think about what I've eaten lately.
Was ich so gegessen habe in der letzten Zeit.
Yeah, it's 0.75.
Is this high, low? I have no idea.
It's low.
It's low.
I have the double of yours. That will be quite normal for Faroese men.
What is the highest you've ever measured?
40.
40?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What do you say to these
We talk to them.
people?
We advise them gently if they so want. Some of the high exposed people don't want to be advised.
Paul's institute has warned everyone against eating whale meat and fat. But we soon see his words have had little effect on whaling on the Faroe Islands. We were just sitting at breakfast and got a call that there'll be a Grindadráp, a whale slaughter today. I don't know yet whether it's a false alarm, but we're trying to get there as quickly as possible. It's going to be tight because it's at the other end of the island, in the far north. I have to step on it. The tip came from John Roy's family, the one who served me whale goulash. Looks like they were right. Suddenly I see whalers' boats. Unbelievable. I wouldn't have expected this. You can't see the animals yet. Right now I can only see boats. It's like a wall coming towards us. The whalers are even allowed to drop everything at work to come down here. We don't know how they'll react. The whalers don't really like cameras. No idea what's going to happen. We'll see. The animals are still far away. I look for John Roy's family and am delighted to see him coming straight towards me.
Hey, John Roy.
Yeah, hey.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Can you explain what's going on right now?
Yeah, right now they're driving the whales up to the beach.
There's a foreman over on the beach, and he is explaining what each person has to do.
Are you going to participate?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important that you don't disturb.
Right.
And if someone asks you to stop filming, then you have to stop filming.
Okay.
I don't think anything will happen to us with John Roy and his family by my side, but several people want to know who we are.
They all ask, are you against?
No, you can say we are balanced.
I'm surprised. It's not just whalers here. Men, women, children, everyone is here. The whole village, apparently. Are they all joining in?
These are the killers.
Ah, okay.
John has a whaling license. That's why he's allowed to take a spear. His son, John Roy, is only allowed to help pull the animals into shallow water. Once again, a warning. What's about to happen is not for the faint-hearted. Man, they're so big, from one second to the next. I see John Roy's father in the crowd. I get the feeling everyone knows what to do, but I'm paralysed, completely overwhelmed. And I don't know what to do. In just 3 minutes, 19 pilot whales are dead. The dead animals are pulled back into the water and dragged to the harbour. I've read so much about it. Suddenly you're standing here and bam, it happens. It all happens so quickly. I can't really say what it's done to me yet. It just happened too fast. I think I need more time to process it emotionally. But there's just something deeply archaic about it. Everything becomes automatic. I find John Roy in the crowd again. It didn't go quite so well for him.
I got hooked in the leg, but I don't think anything else went wrong.
You get hooked in the leg?
Yeah.
What happened?
I think someone thought I was a whale then.
Okay, okay.
I thought all the animals had been killed, but then I noticed something.
There's another one, okay.
I think. Or not?
No, he escaped.
He escaped?
Yeah.
But that
probably went under the boat.
But that doesn't happen too often, right?
No, no. But the whales don't survive alone. That's why we want to kill all of them. Yeah, but this one got away. If he does find the flock, then he will die.
Okay.
The dead pilot whales are brought to the harbour. I think about how, a moment ago, they were just swimming as a pod through the Atlantic, and now they're lying dead, neatly arranged in the open. I've never seen such a large dead animal.
How many people can live from this grind you catch today? Can you say that? How many families are getting meat?
200.
200 families are on the list, and then they want to have a piece of meat. But can you understand that some people get annoyed by the picture and they tell you, why do you do that? Can you understand them?
Of course, you can understand them because they cannot see the whole picture. Huh? we are also eating this. This is part of our nature. I think. For a few years ago, it was necessary to eat meat.
Yeah. And is it even necessary now, you say?
We do it, yeah. We eat it, yeah.
Yeah, we can live without it, but this is one of our few foods that we can get locally. We have potatoes, fish, sheep and whale. And everything else is imported. And yeah.
The animals are then slaughtered. Everyone can help. Nobody has to pay for the meat and fat. It's free. Anyone who helped with the hunt or just happens to be there gets something. It's quite strange. It's like a folk festival. The whole village is here and everyone is waiting for their piece of meat. There's a distinct smell. These dead animals, they don't smell particularly good, but nobody's bothered. There are families, little children. I saw small children trying out a knife for the first time. I can really get a sense of how they're all growing up around this. Completely normal for the people who live here, but not for me. John Roy's sister Laura also helps bring the meat home. Some of our team struggled with filming the whaling, and as it turned out, it would not be the last time. I still can't quite understand why so many people here have no problem with whaling, despite the known health risks.
Hey, how are you doing?
That's why I pay Elsa another visit. She collected the hair samples at the research institute.
There are some friends coming tonight.
Yeah, every woman in the Faroe Islands are part of a knitting club.
Yeah. We are the guys with 0 points.
We revisit the topic of mercury in whale meat.
So the bad effects are very well known on the Faroe Islands. There was a study from 2014 that showed that 99% of the people who were asked have heard about the advisory.
But they don't follow the advice? Not everybody?
No, of course not everybody, but the young women, they follow the advice. Because they are the ones who bear the children.
Elsa's friends arrive. Most of them don't eat whale or dolphin meat. I want to know why.
It tastes better. I don't eat it because it doesn't taste well. I don't like the taste of it. But like my husband is like, oh, I'm crazy about.
Oh really?
It's just something in his body. And he also has a boat, so like he loves it.
I remember as a kid, I didn't like to see it. Small ones lying there. I didn't like it. But you get used to it, like everything else. And then it's just a part of it. Just a part of the Faroese tradition. Yeah.
Most Faroese are politically conservative and local politics are dominated by men. I want to know whether that's a factor.
Yeah, for example, politically, no one talks about stopping pilot whale hunting. No, it's really a hot potato. As a politician, you were against pilot whaling, you get no votes.
But I have the impression that maybe the people in their 20s and the teenagers, they have a different attitude.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But maybe they don't go to Binde Club, the knitting. But it's not the majority. It's definitely not mixed.
No.
The women on the islands hardly eat whale meat anymore, especially if they want to have children. But most of the men just carry on. I thought this would be the end of the film, But things turn out differently. We get word of another hunt. At first we thought we wouldn't get a chance to film this at all, but now we've received our second tip. I think that's because we've gotten to know these people now. We've earned a bit of their trust. They know we won't cause trouble when we come to see and film. The water's red, they've started. The roadside is already pretty full when we arrive. Something is different. The chase doesn't end on the beach, but at a small cliff. We're a little late this time. Look, one is getting away. The whalers are having trouble catching one of the whales. They just won't let it get away. Now men are jumping into the open water and trying to somehow get on top of the whale. They told us the hunt usually ends quickly, and the first one we saw went really fast. But this one's getting out of hand. The animal keeps getting away, and it's a real fight to the death now. The boats keep sending it back towards land, where the whalers are waiting. There he is, still alive. This is intense. The fight for life and death goes on for half an hour, right in front of my eyes. Dozens of young men are standing in the cold water. They just don't want to let the whale go. Just as they don't want to let go of their tradition, something I've really learned during this trip to the Faroe Islands. I've also learned something about myself. I couldn't hunt and kill pilot whales. Could you?